Go ahead, Jeff.
All right, thanks, Brandy. I'd like to call to order the September 24th, 2020 Plan Commission meeting. Could I get a roll call, please, Brandy?
Yes. Dolly.
Here.
Brink.
Here?
Oletsky.
Here.
Ford.
Here.
And Hanson, Kays, Culhane, and Dargits Johnson are absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Third item on the agenda is invitation for public comment. If there's anything on if there's anything that's not on today's agenda that someone would wish to talk about, please let Brandy know, and then we'll get to that at the end of the meeting. And then next, I'll need approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion in a second?
I'll make that motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Ford.
I have a motion and a second. Could I get a vote, please, Brandy?
Yep. Brink.
Yes.
Oletsky.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Dolly.
Yes.
Motion passes. The fifth item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the September 10th, 2020 meeting. Could I get a motion in a second?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the September 10th meeting.
Ford seconds.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any additional comments? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Brink.
Yes.
Dolly.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Oletsky.
Yes.
Motion passes. Sixth item on the agenda is our regular agenda. 6A is commission consideration of resolution number 2020-50, adopting the amended boundaries of the tax increment district number 12 within the city of Watertown, South Dakota. Brandy, could you take that away?
Yes, thank you, Jeff. So TIF 12 is the tax increment finance district number 12. We've seen this previously. This came before the Plan Commission on the Plan Commission recommended at the March 19th meeting, and then the City Council unanimously approved it at the April 6th, 2020 meeting. So the reason why it's back in front of you today is because the boundaries of the TIF have changed. And so this is just ratifying that change. So I will show what the differences were here on the map, which I provided in the packet.
Is that the alley?
So this is the, okay, hang on, are we doing that vacation tonight too? Yeah, that's the next one. No. Okay. So that will be the next action. But, sorry, I went too far. Okay, so what we included before was this south alley. So then now they are only including the parcel there that the County Fair Banquet Hall used to sit on. Now it's the Parkside Place project.
Now, Brandy, sorry to interrupt. Are you able to share your screen to Teams?
Yes. Thank you for that. I always forget. Sorry, guys, on Teams. Okay. I don't know why it does this, though. And then it doesn't, let me... Okay, there we go. Okay. So you can see there, this was the previous boundary, and this is the amended boundary. And then, so we previously vacated this portion of the alley. The next action on this agenda will be the south alley, which is not included anyway because it will be split by the property owners, and there will be a utility and access easement over that, but we can get into that with that action. But so this portion then was deeded all to this project. So Parkside Place will be utilizing the entire area within that boundary now.
Okay, I might have asked this question before, but the alley between the parking lot for Park Place, or it used to be the banquet hall, isn't there an alley between that and the parking lot for county fair food? That's going to stay an open alley, correct?
Yep,
Okay, good.
yep. County Fair utilizes that for their deliveries. So, and they would have to sign off on it too. If they were ever to petition to vacate it, they would have to sign the petition.
So the previous boundary was slightly larger because we thought there may be infrastructure that gets touched in relation to this project within that larger boundary, but now we're reducing it to the footprint of the site.
Right.
And real quick, I'll open the public hearing, so.
Chris Shilkin, Watertown Development Company. That's correct, Blake. We weren't sure what the utilities were going to be, so they ended up moving some. And then we did consult with the state and got a attorney general opinion on how to amend this, and they thought the easiest, cleanest way was just to bring it back through like you normally would, and do the TIF process again. So that's what we opted to do, just so there was no questions down the road, to make sure we're doing it the right way.
Thank you. So this is kind of a just housekeeping thing. We've been through this TIF, we discussed it. The city's allowed to have so many TIFs, or so much valuation worth of TIFs, and we're currently under that. And this is one that we already approved. We're just fixing the boundaries, correct, Brandy?
Yep.
Make sure I'm doing that. Okay. Hearing that, is there anyone else in the public, either here or on the interwebs, that would like to speak on behalf of this or against this? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion in a second.
I'll make that motion to approve this TIF program.
Yep.
20, the resolution number 2020-50.
Ford seconds.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote. Brandy?
Brink.
Yes.
Dolly.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Aletsky.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is commission consideration of resolution number 2020-51, approving the vacation of a 10-foot alley on the south side of the former County Fair Banquet Hall. Brandy, if you would.
Okay, sorry for that. Okay, so we are doing commission consideration of resolution number 2020-51, approving the vacation of a 10-foot alley on the south side of the former County Fair Banquet Hall. So as I had alluded to with that last action item with the TIF, that will encompass this area. Well, it doesn't encompass the alley. So that doesn't apply, but same area. So this 10-foot alley here, they are petitioning to vacate, and then, like I said, then there will be an access and utility easement over the entirety of it. So it'll just be I believe the Parkside Place plans to utilize or allow for an additional 3 feet to make that alley a more to utilize it, to be able to make it. Oh my gosh, words are leaving me. So it's easier for traffic to be conveyed through it. So, because right now with the 10 feet, as you can see, I mean, it's tight. So it'll just, giving that 3 additional feet with it being a blank slate, that is what.
It's going to be a 13-foot wide alley?
I believe so.
All right, and I see you got someone at the podium, so I will open the public hearing. So,
He knows I need help.
Struggling a little bit with that quorum thing, huh? Rattles everybody.
It'll just giving
So-
that 3 additional.
Sorry.
That was
Oh, that was you?
no, that wasn't.
Oh.
That was like a repeat.
Oh, reverb. So what we have is a 10-foot alley in
Could
there
you
right now.
state your name for the record?
Oh,
Sorry.
Jesse Craig Development, sorry, sir. So we have a 10-foot alley in there right now, and the building was set up so we would have an additional 3 feet setback from the alley, just for usage of that alley, make it more conducive to traffic and things like that. But what we're doing is the commercial tenant, which is the Gamber family, who's going to lease back that front space, they're in the process right now, and they have secured a tenant or the ability to have a pharmacy and an urgent care in that front space. And so what they want to do is be able to put a drive-through lane for the pharmacy on that, through that alley, which will now be 13 feet. So it just makes it a lot more, I mean, anyone who has a full-size truck, you get a Folger mirrors in at 10 feet, so 13 feet just makes it a little more easy to go through there. So that was really kind of the catalyst behind all of this. If it would remain a city alley, we can't use it for, a private right-of-way of that sorts, but again, twofold, making it wider for snow removal, things like that, and then, of course, this commercial tenant would just be a lot more, more ability to utilize that.
So just so I'm understanding this correctly, there's currently 13 feet between the buildings, but only 10 feet of its alley?
No, there's only 10 feet right now. Between the banquet hall and the existing buildings, there's only 10 feet.
Okay.
And it was pretty bad for drainage and breaking up. There was several types of concrete in there.
Okay, so if this vacation is approved, they're gonna pull back that building and make it so that there will be 13 feet between the buildings, and then they'll build a drive-through for their commercial purposes?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And we've explained this to the adjoining property owners, so they knew kind of the reasoning for it. So they too like the 13 feet versus 10 feet, even just to get equipment in there to do repairs, things of that nature, so.
And you're gonna be the one that will develop the alley, pour the concrete and do the drainage and stuff?
Yeah, well, that's
the
part,
city?
well, again, that's part of the, right now it's part of the developer agreement. And I have to have that conversation with engineering and the city attorney, because we'd have to modify that if all of a sudden, if it becomes a private alley, who bears that cost?
Yeah, and that was gonna be one of my next questions. One concern I always have whenever we make a public access way private is just who maintains it. We do have a couple of instances in town where there's a lot of traffic on privately owned.
Right.
And then it's, who does the maintenance? So on something like this, do we know who would be responsible for?
Well, the city's gonna maintain an easement through it, so it will never be truly private. You got utility lines and things that run through that, so.
Yeah, so just so the expectations are clear, anytime we vacate public right-of-way, that property then goes back to the private adjacent property owners. And conventionally, at that time, that does become private property for maintenance. What Mr. Craig's alluding to is we will have, or they are proposing to have, a public access easement, and we will require a public utility easement to be overlaid where this alley right-of-way was. But that wouldn't necessarily constitute that we are going to then resume public snow and street and surface maintenance. Typically, those protections are in place so that the customers have access to those drive-up windows for the private benefit of the private property owner, and so that our utilities, any public or private utilities, are protected under the surface or above the surface. So, long story short, public right-of-way would be vacated. We'd require the appropriate easements for the use of that property, but it would be private property at that point. And I would not expect that the city would do snow maintenance on that based on just past practices and conventionally how that would work.
Yeah, no, we'd take care of that. I mean, we already had that conversation when we vacated the alley to the east of the property, and with the community foundation, in regards to maintaining even that alley, because now that stops going north, and so we were already going to do snow removal on that with skid steers and such, and so this just kind of loops around to the L, so it's pretty easy to maintain that. I think the biggest thing is looking at going from a 10-foot, really an alley that needed to be repaired. It was in pretty disrepair, To going to 13 feet, not only does it allow for, you know, my utilization and my tenant's utilization, but it's also a walkability corridor that we view as leading to the downtown park. So I think there's some fun stuff that could be done in that alley as far as, in Fargo, we've done where we, allow artists to come in from like Lakes Area Tech or something like that. Of course, it would be different in Fargo, but they can do murals and things like that on the brick. It changes every 2 years. It's just kind of fun, something, more contemporary and cool culturally.
All right. Thank you for that. And I also want the record to show that Mark Stein is here now too. So, or Jason Hansen, excuse me. Jason Hansen's not here. I'm sorry.
Let's say the names.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
apologize for that. But let the record show that.
not just me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Record has noted.
Did Jason stay after that comment?
Yeah. Just got a glare is all I got. Is all. Yeah. Is there anyone else that's here or online that wishes to speak in favor or against this action? The public hearing is still open. Or does anyone on the board have any questions for the applicant?
Chair, I guess I have a question. I know initially when we saw one of the early prelim plans, there was talk of possibly vacating the alley to the east of that property as well. And I don't know if that's where that sits now or if that's still on the table. Yeah, that was for you,
Commissioner
too.
Hansen, just,
The alley on the east of that property at one point was possibly slated to be vacated as well.
It has been.
Oh, it has.
It's already been done.
All right.
Yeah.
All the utility lines have been moved.
And what we were talking about discussing, or what council made the action then to convey the entire easement to Parkside Place instead of the city retaining half of it. So that was kind of the outstanding action item that was brought forth with that vacation, but that's been resolved.
and just for clarity, Commissioner Hansen, the south portion of that easterly alley has not been vacated yet. I don't know if that's what you were referring to or not, but
Where, to me, the community foundation office is.
yeah, no, that portion has not been vacated yet. And it doesn't sound like, according to the peanut gallery, it doesn't sound like that's gonna be an
issue.
application coming forward, so.
And that was my concern, was just,
Sorry, we're all having a good time tonight with the,
The quorum really threw us.
Yeah. Is there anyone else to speak on this item? If not, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve 2020-51 for the vacation of the 10-foot alley on the south side of the former County Fair Banquet Hall.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. And I just kind of want to mention, like I kind of alluded to earlier, I don't typically like to vacate a road or an alley if there's going to be traffic still on it. But in this case, this is more like a drive-through. So, I mean, that it's not anybody's traffic, it's more of their traffic. So I see this as a different case. This isn't like the Walmart Road where there's a bunch of traffic to different businesses. This is, traffic to one business if we vacate this alley. So I just kind of.
Right, and right now it's not in really passable condition. Like, I don't know if vehicles go down it. I did once and it was sketchy. No.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, to that note, as far as Public Works is concerned, both the Engineering Division and Streets Division are aware of this vacate proposal, and neither have issues or concerns with it. It is, like Brandy's indicated, it's a very narrow alleyway. There's not a real great benefit to the general public for their use of this alleyway. And then also, as Mr. Craig indicated, this vacate would be necessary in order for him to, or the business, tenants or owners to use this portion of land for their private drive-up window that they're anticipating using. We simply don't allow, obviously, any public rights-of-way to be used for a drive-up access or things of that nature for the benefit of private business. So it does clean up the property for their use as well, so.
And the other thing is that Jesse was saying that he was going to allow public foot traffic. You're not going to block it off and make it into a private gated alley.
No, number one, we wouldn't be able to for the pharmacy drive-through, but, and the city is gonna maintain that easement through there. But no, that's my whole plan. I mean, even when I was, trying to vacate the alley between the lofts and the sushi, downtown sushi, was to get the walkability aspect of it. Because I just think these act as corridors, and we've done some really cool stuff with them in the past, and I think there's some really cool stuff we could do down here. So.
And then too, I think those businesses on Kemp, I think they have some loading doors back there that they need access to it.
Yeah.
So.
They're excited to have some drainage, because right now they've got rubber membranes that are glued down and secured and stuff like that. So if we're able to get some drainage out of there, it would be really beneficial. And then
Well, I'm
widening
assuming that you're going to do concrete and just kind of drain it towards the street so it can go.
Yep, exactly. I think that'd be a requirement anyway, wouldn't it, Heath? You want to see all the plans? That's part of the civil plans that we're working on right now. So.
Absolutely, yep.
Yeah, the nice thing too with it being the blank slate, that they can get some positive drainage there in their designs, so. Exactly.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. I think we're ready for a roll call vote. Brandy?
Okay, Brink,
Yes.
Dolly,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Aletsky.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is commission consideration of resolution number 2020-49, amending the zoning map of the city of Watertown, South Dakota for the replat of Lot 4 of the DeVille Edition.
The applicant is, oh my gosh, words. The applicant is withdrawing that at this time.
Item 6C has been withdrawn. We'll move on to item 6D. Commission consideration of resolution number 2020-42, the plat of Prairie Winds Storage First Edition. Brandy, I'll let you take that over.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. So this is, and I'll get here on the GIS. So we've looked at this property previously when we were rezoning it from the R1 single family residential and PUD planned unit development, that they had petitioned to rezone that to CL Lake Commercial District, as well as R1, maintaining some R1 single family residential district that will be utilized as the golf course more so. But that action was approved by City Council this past Monday at the September 21st meeting. So now their next step here is the replatting and vacating, getting this property subdivided so that it is conforming to the new CL zoning, as well as the R1. So here on the map, so you guys are familiar, here's the Prairie Winds Golf Course Clubhouse. And then 54th Street Northwest here is a section line right-of-way that is shown as a collector route in our major street plan. And so then on the plat, you will notice when it was previously platted, and actually I'll go back to this view. So you'll see here when this was platted as the Country Club Estates edition, there was some right-of-way included. Now that was never improved, so we are able to vacate that per this plat. So Lisa, and what's the other one? Lisa and Carroll Avenue are 60-foot right-of-ways that were dedicated at the time in 1984 when this was platted previously. And then now this plat is vacating those right-of-ways per the function of the plat. And then as far as, I noted 54th Street Northwest because they will be dedicated an additional 7 feet of right-of-way to allow for that to someday, if that is ever a collector route someday, the requirement is 80 foot of right-of-way. So they are giving that additional 7 feet, so to meet that requirement. And then also, being that 54th Street exists as a gravel road, the requirement upon building permit issuance would be that they pave from South Lake Drive to their driveway access on this property, wherever that ends up being, a 28-foot private street, so that there is paved access from South Lake Drive to.
Private street? Oh,
Well,
on the subdivision. 54 will still stay public street.
Yes, sorry, that
Private
was.
street inside, like a shared drive type deal, right?
Yes, yeah, thank you for clarifying that, because private street is not, where we got that standard, the 28-foot is our minimum for a private street. So thank you for clarifying that, Bonnie. This will still remain. 54th will remain a public right-of-way, but typically the street is paved by adjacent landowners or it's done at the time of the subdivision. This wasn't done, but then now that this is being developed, and especially as commercial, so it's acting kind of as a driveway, just so there is paved access from South Lake Drive to the first driveway for what they're developing, which I believe.
And then as they develop, they're going to be extending the road, the pavement, as they keep going in different sections?
Yeah, and most likely, I mean, most likely 50, I mean, you never know what the future holds, but right now, being that it is the golf course, it most like they will just, instead of even extending it to the extent of the lot line, they'll just go to the driveway just so we have that paved access connectivity on this one, and because it's just not a typical way to develop.
Do they know where their driveway is going to be?
I would imagine that it will be. I think they've submitted some concept plans where I probably in this vicinity. If I had a ballpark.
On the lots that Vince Foley owns?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So then now with this replat, and obviously Vince and the golf course have signed off on this plat as the proprietors, and then however they plan on, conveying ownership of these will be their prerogative.
Is that going to be an access off of South Lake Drive too, where it's gray?
Yes, so this area here, these have remained R1 single-family residential lots. Yep, and so they were not included in the rezone. So here, I'll show on GIS. So it is, this already exists, that little parcel there where for access. Yeah. So it will be these 3 lots here, I believe. Let me confirm. Yep. These 3 lots have stayed the R1 single-family residential. And then this will be the driveway access to South Lake Drive for these lots.
In clarity there, those 3 lots will be re-subdivided into 1 lot for the function of this plat.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
I was wondering, a shared drive for 3 lots?
No, that is 1 lot. That is just lot 1, or if this plat is approved, that just becomes lot 1 instead of 3 lots. And this was before us a few weeks ago as a rezone, and I assume that the rezone, when we did it, we intended it to match up with the lot line, so now all of lot 1 will be R1, and all of lot 2 will be late commercial, correct?
Yep, and then lot 3 is R1 as well. So then that, I believe, is going to be, that is the golf course. I think they're like, one of the holes is actually within this area. So R1 golf courses are allowed in that zoning designation. So lot 2 is the only one that is actually CL.
What about the water? Is the water in where it's the little crosses? Is that where the water is?
Yep. So they're putting an easement on that property right now, designating that is where their detention will go.
Okay.
And then they will submit, with their building permit, they'll submit their hydraulic analysis for their pond and the construction plans for that. It will remain it won't be like public infrastructure. It will remain private. We'll enter into a BMP maintenance agreement with them, and they'll maintain it privately. But then that BMP maintenance agreement allows the city to order maintenance be completed if it's necessary.
But they'll never have the opportunity to fill it in and make additional lots either.
Well, I mean, they could if they wanted to come and vacate it, but then they wouldn't have anywhere to put their drainage.
The thing that we would consider, though, if they attempted to vacate it and replat it, is we require all lots to have frontage access. So as you can see on this plat, Lot 1 gets frontage access from South Lake Drive, and Lots 2 and 3 both get access to 54th Street. If they tried to just cut out a lot in Lot 2, it would have to also touch 54th Street. So that kind of makes what you're asking very difficult, if not impossible.
Yep. They would
Unless
at
they went
least.
private road.
Yep, they could do a 28-foot private street. But
What my
There would be
concern
challenges.
is that they would maintain the integrity of the slough and, not plow it under and make it concrete.
right. Yes, and that is something that they would be required to have for their site. And we would have the tracking mechanism to look back at when their building permit was issued, that say years down the road that it mysteriously goes away. If that's brought to attention, we would be able to track that it was actually supposed to be there and cannot be filled in and whatnot. So there's protections there in the history of it.
So if they ever wanted to fill it in, they would have to come back to the board and ask and show us why. Okay.
Yes, and they would have to vacate that easement, because they cannot fill within a drainage easement. Unless they're conveying the drainage some other way, but, if you were doing like a pipe, but this is for the pond, so they would not be able to fill it.
Yeah, and I think some of that is jurisdictional wetland as well, which would require DENR. But
It's actually non-jurisdictional. They did get a determination, but still, there's enough safeguards with the city ordinance that it would be very challenging if they wanted to do that. But it wouldn't be. It's not impossible, but highly unlikely.
Brandy, could you address, again, on Lot 1, it'll have access, frontage access on South Lake Drive, and that will be maintained as again, a private drive. Is there standards or minimums for that, or how does that proceed?
Yep, so we have that in ordinance too. So he is actually allowing, there's still 40 feet there, but the minimum is 28 feet. And they don't have to have curb and gutter. So it is, they are then privately maintained, unless they have a maintenance agreement with the city, but we would not, this would not seem like one that we would enter into on that. Because like, I'm thinking, for example, Valley View, 5th Street, I believe, I don't know who does that snow removal, but that would be an easier one if they did. But if it's a private street, the city does not maintain it. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and this is really, it's not even a private street, it's just a private driveway to a residential lot. So it would have to follow the residential driveway regulations in the subregs and the design standards.
And it'll be part of the legal description of Lot 1.
Correct.
Yep.
is it just because that there was a right-of-way on the east side that this plat couldn't be approved administratively? Is that why it came before us today? That's
Yep.
really what held you guys up from just being able to approve it. Did you guys have any other issues or qualms with it?
No, and the only other thing that I just wanted to be transparent about the 54th Street and how we were handling that for paved access. That there's not a development agreement tied to this because like they're only dedicating 7 feet at this time, so it's hard to tie a development agreement. So we'll tie it at the time of the building permit, and then also with the building permit, we will get a waiver of right to protest future improvements if a full collector street goes in there with curb and gutter, storm sewer, all of that. So we'll make sure to get that as well.
Thank you, Brandy. Does anyone else from the board have any other questions for Brandy or staff? There is no public hearing on plats, so if not, I would entertain a motion and a second on this item.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask Brandy to do a roll call vote, please.
Brink,
Yes.
Dolly,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Aletsky.
Yes.
Motion passes. Seventh item on the agenda is open public comment. Did we receive any, Brandy?
Nope,
Nope. All right, moving on. Is new business?
none tonight.
None. Any old business?
No,
Any reason to go into executive session?
nope.
All right, then I will adjourn us.
Perfect, thank you.